Catholic television, Good News for All. We are happy that you have kept viewing Uganda Catholic television. We are very happy that you love Uganda Catholic television because it brings good news to you. Whoever brings good news, even if it is me in my family, whoever is bringing good news, I love that person. So thank you for loving Uganda Catholic television. And in particular, I would like to thank you for loving our program, Responsible Citizenship, which is brought to you always from the Justice and Peace Department of the Uganda Episcopal Conference. And in the studios tonight, my name is Emmanuel Kiiza ALIBA. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Justice and Peace Department. The last week we were here, we had started a journey on understanding the letter that Pope Francis wrote to us in the year 2015. And this letter is Laudato Si, praise be to you. So we have given it time because of its importance. We started on it, and also the last week we saw the headings, the summary of what the Holy Father wrote in that book. And today I come in again with trying to understand the various themes that the Holy Father addresses in this book, in this letter, in this encyclical. The Holy Father picks some themes and wants us to understand them in a deeper way so that we know exactly the message of the Holy Father. I think we have to know that it is Pope Francis is not the first Pope to address environmental issues. He is not the first. He is following a tradition. His predecessors had already addressed themselves on the issue to do with the environment. For example, Pope St. John Paul II taught on numerous occasions about the duty of stewardship towards nature. Stewardship. I give you an example. In 1991, Pope St. John Paul II wrote an encyclical, Centesimus Annus. Centesimus Annus. The Holy Father wrote about nature as a gift from God and the need for human beings to cooperate with God in promoting the rightly ordered flourishing of the environment. You will get this in number 37 and number 38 of this encyclical Centesimus Annus of St. John Paul II. He says in the book, especially on number 38, he outlined a connection between natural ecology and human ecology. Now, by bringing that issue of human ecology, actually the Holy Father, St. John Paul II, was anticipating the concept now that the Pope Francis is developing integral ecology, which comes out very clearly in Laudato Si. The same Pope Benedict XVI echoed the same teachings during his papacy. For example, in 2009, he issued an encyclical called Caritas in Veritate. So in that Caritas in Veritate, you look for, you go to numbers from 48 to 52. Numbers 48 to 52. When you look there, you'll see what Pope Benedict is talking about environment. There are many popes that have talked about our stewardship, our role in trying to maintain the environment, in trying to promote the well-being of nature. So you find it in a lot of tradition, in a lot of writings from the Holy Fathers, including even some doctors of the church. But I will not go deep into this history of the church, but just one sentence is enough for you to know that it's not only Pope Francis who has dealt with issues of environment, but he falls into a tradition of other predecessors who had already talked about the environment, that human beings have to take good stewardship of the environment. As outlined in Laudato Si, its vision of an integrated approach to concern for all people and the environment has roots in scripture and the history of the Catholic thought, in particular in the tradition of the Catholic social teaching, tracing back to the 19th century. Further, Catholic scholars and activists have been outspoken on the connection between social and environmental issues for very many years. But what is unique within Laudato Si is how Pope Francis develops and expands on these themes at length in a highly prominent way, devoting an entire encyclical to the topic at a time when the wider world is also becoming actively engaged in the pursuit of environmental sustainability. And I'm very happy that now the entire world is looking at issues to do with the environment. Environment is now on the table of very many governments. It's now on the table of very many meetings. And now even corporate governance, and how it goes hand in hand with the environment. So I'm very happy now it has really become a critical issue in governance, in politics. So it is worldwide now. I will soon be leaving for Switzerland. I have to go to Geneva. And there I'm going to participate in a meeting on promotion of good governance, especially in regard to democracy. And one of the days I will spend there, we shall be looking at issues to do with environmental governance. You can see now environmental governance. These are new concepts that have come, and we need to understand them if we have to promote them. So in the middle of next month, I'll be going to Geneva for this particular topic, environmental governance. The Holy Father, in this encyclical, treats one key theme, which I would like us to get very clearly, the theme about climate change. Climate change. And the Holy Father is saying that climate change is real. Climate change is real. Dear viewers, I hope I'm not talking theory here. I hope I'm not talking abstract, you know. I hope I'm not in the skies there. When the Holy Father says climate change is real, I think all of you are supporting me. All of you are supporting the Holy Father that climate change in this world is real, wherever you are. Yes. I've been passing through the various parts of the country, and especially those who have grown maize. Those who have grown maize this season, I think it's the worst season. There are not very many who are going to benefit from this season in regard to maize. But why? We did not receive the rain in time. The time when people expected the rain, it did not come. The time when the people did not expect the rain is the time when it came. So it destabilized, you know, the growth of maize. So the yields are not going to be good. Why? Climate change is real. You can see that the heat that we are experiencing these days, the heat that we are experiencing is beyond, you know, is beyond the normal heat that we have always experienced. Be it at night, be it during the day, the heat is too much. Climate change is real. The floods in our country here. Last Wednesday I told you about some landing sites at Lake Albert, where I come from. Some landing sites have been submerged. They are now in water. They are no longer landing sites. And so people have run away. You know, there used to be, you know, landing sites, but now it's all water. So when the Holy Father says climate change is real, I think he means it. And says climate change is one of the most prominent topics associated with Laudato Si, both because the encyclical speaks in detail about the moral imperative to address it. We have a moral imperative to address climate change. And because the threat of the climate crisis has grown only more severe since the encyclical's publication. Forewarned is forearmed. If the Holy Father is telling us we have the moral imperative to mitigate against climate change, we have to pay heed. We have to pay heed, fellow viewers. Climate change is real, and we have to address it. It is a moral imperative. It's incumbent upon you and me to ensure that these adverse impacts and effects of climate change are reduced. We have to get means. And don't wait for European Union to get means for you. Let us start in our small ways, in what you are able to do as an individual, what you are able to do as a family, what you are able to do in your village, what you are able to do in your city and your sub-county. Let's move bottom up. Let's not wait. Like as I told you last Wednesday, for me, given the tradition of my mother, you know, I was born after the death of my father. So my mother brought me up, and I found that my mother had planted a lot of fruit trees. So I also decided to follow in that tradition of my mother. I also plant fruit trees. So when you come home, be assured, if it is in season, be assured of having a lot of fruits. Why? I follow in the tradition of my mother. They are fruit trees. You know, when I was Prime Minister of Bunyoro, I went on radio and I encouraged all people to plant, I don't know how they are called in English. In Uganda it is a mituba. In Bunyoro it is a mitoma. A mitoma or a mituba, that is where the back cloth is made from. That tree which, you know, which makes the back, where you get the product, the raw material for the back cloth. In Uganda is a mituba. In my language, Bunyoro or Toro is a mitoma. So I encouraged many people to plant the mitoma, mituba. So I said, please, in your compound, make sure you have that tree, mutoma, in your compound, or at least every family head should plant one or two mituba. And people started saying, I'm encouraging them to plant a mituba because I want back cloth for the palace, you know. And yet a mituba is very good. It's an environment-friendly tree. I know you'll believe me, for those who have a mituba, for those who have a mitoma in your compound, when you sit under there, you feel very good. So I've tried also to plant them in our banana plantation. You find them dotted around in a banana plantation at home. So the issue of to do with environmental, to do with climate change, we have all to do the small things that we are able to do. For me, I'm able to plant a mituba. I am able to plant fruit trees. What are you able to do? Please do it. Let's not wait. If you wait, the effects of climate change will hit us, will not spare us. And every day the effects are becoming adverse. So please, let's protect, let's mitigate against climate change in our small ways. I was, just a few months back, I was in Addis Ababa, in Ethiopia. The Prime Minister of Ethiopia started a big campaign of planting millions of trees throughout Addis Ababa, throughout Ethiopia. And when you are driving from the airport to the city Addis Ababa, you see a lot of trees being planted, because the Prime Minister of Ethiopia has started that campaign to plant millions of trees. I pray that other governments will copy that example. Yes. This week, I think, yeah, at the beginning of this week, I had a meeting together with the permanent secretary of Ministry of Water and Environment. I was privileged to chair that meeting, you know. Chairing a meeting where the permanent secretary is not also very easy for us simple men. But we are talking a lot about the environmental degradation. We have to mitigate against environmental degradation, polluting the environment. We have to be ambassadors of the environment. I'm very, very thankful to everyone who is promoting environmental conservation. Bravo. I really thank you. because the adverse effects of climate change are real. They have started hitting us. And so we have to hit back. We only hit back by promoting environmental conservation and by reducing what we do as bad practices in regard to environmental conservation. So, climate change. Laudato Si affirms the very solid scientific consensus that climate change is occurring, as well as the evidence that human activity is the primary driver of this warming. Climate change is one of the principal challenges facing humanity in our day. You'll get this one in Laudato Si number 25. The Holy Father is saying climate change is one of the principal challenges facing humanity in our day. So we cannot run away from facts. We cannot run away. We only need to be bold and start doing those small actions that will mitigate this climate change. It is real, and it is upon me and you to mitigate it. Further, the encyclical stresses that existing efforts to reduce climate change have been deeply inadequate. This is because many of those who possess more resources and economic or political power seem mostly to be concerned with masking the problems or concealing their symptoms. Those who are able, those who are knowledgeable, they seem to be not concerned. This is what we call burying the head in the sand. And you think you have hidden yourself. You have only put the head down. The biggest body is outside. So the leadership, whichever type of leadership, church, political, economic, whatever, wherever you are, let us not mask. Laudato Si number 26. Read number 26. Let us not mask about it. Let us not be cosmetic about it. Because climate change is real. Viewers, I would like to end this first session here by calling upon our dear viewers. Please let us, in our small ways or big ways, depending on the level of your leadership, let us mitigate climate change. Climate change is real. The adverse effects of climate change are real. And in this country, if we all cooperated and worked together in good practices of environmental, mitigation, of promoting environmental, clean, cook, and so on, I will come with it in the next, in our next, after our break, then we shall live in a very good country, the country that God intended to give us as Ugandans. Let's go in now for a commercial break, and we shall come back to complete our topic on Laudato Si.
UCTV, good news for all.
Welcome back from that commercial break, our beloved viewer of Uganda Catholic Television. Good news for all. Thank you for loving our program. Responsible Citizenship, brought to you from the Justice and Peace Department of Uganda Episcopal Conference. Before we left, we were talking on the issue that the Holy Father, Pope Francis, in his encyclical Laudato Si, said that climate change is real. And we all agree with the Holy Father that throughout the country, move from east to west, north to south, there is not a single place where we have not tasted the effects of climate change. And throughout the world, it is the same. Other places are worse. Now, in the Laudato Si, the Holy Father does not only deal with climate change, he also deals with the plight for the poor. The plight for the poor people in our society. The plight for the poor. One key theme of Laudato Si is that efforts to reduce climate change and help people in poverty should not be pitted against each other, but instead pursued as a unified project. Not two realities, but one interconnected reality. Climate change and the plight of the poor. Not two realities, but one interconnected reality. It would be wrong to cut emissions in a way that harms the marginalized in societal places, an unimaginable burden on very poor countries. As the encyclical states, we are faced not with two separate crises, one environmental and the other social, but rather with one complex crisis, which is both social and environmental. Strategies for a solution demand an integrated approach to combating poverty, restoring dignity to the excluded, and at the same time, protecting nature. This, you read this from Laudato Si, number 139. Number 139. The plight of the poor, the vulnerable, the marginalized. The Holy Father continues to say, low-income countries are expected to suffer the worst effects of climate change, and there is need for financial assistance in making the transition to sustainable practices. You get this in Laudato Si, number 25. Accordingly, there is a duty for rich countries to take the lead in reducing their own emissions and in providing funds to developing countries seeking to do the same. You get these from Laudato Si 170 to 173. Laudato Si also notes how climate change will cause a rise in the number of migrants, leaving homes destroyed by environmental degradation, and calls on people to welcome and support these. The Holy Father calls them environmental refugees. This is in Laudato Si 25. Environmental refugees. For me, it was my first time to hear about environmental refugees. I've been hearing about refugees in refugee camps who are out of political action or something, you know. But now we are going to have environmental refugees. Those who are running away from their countries because of adverse effects of climate change. And the Holy Father is saying, let us open our hands to welcome them. Let's feel sympathetic to these people. Let's plan ahead of time. Because if we don't put measures to mitigate climate change, we shall get more environmental refugees. Climate change is real. And chapter 6, as we saw last week, chapter 6 of Laudato Si is asking ourselves, what should people do? What should we do? Remember that question came when John the Baptist was preaching in the desert. Then the question came, what should people do? Now the Holy Father is in chapter 6 is saying, chapter 6 of Laudato Si outlines steps a person can take in the process of ecological conversion. That's a very new phenomenon, ecological conversion. We need to repent our sins against the environment. We need to face reality and say we have sinned against our Mother Earth. We have sinned against, for us we call it stepping in the river when you are carrying a pot. You step in the water which you are going to, which you step there, and yet you are going to draw water from this side. We have done that against our Mother Earth. The cry, now we have to listen critically to the cry of the earth. The cry of the mother. If you are a son or a daughter and you are a cause to the cry of a mother, these days there is a language that the young people use, wesotinge. If you are a son or a daughter and you cause a cry of a mother, wesotinge, so to yourself. So our Mother Earth is crying. So we the children who are on earth, tuesotinge, let us sort ourselves. This is what the Holy Father is calling ecological conversion. Tuesotinge. We need to pray, contemplate, learn more about nature, observe the day of rest, reducing materialistic forms of consumer culture, and some simple steps. The Holy Father says, like thanking God at a meal time. After your meal, you thank God. This is, it looks very simple. Thank God after a meal. It looks very simple, especially for you who are privileged, like me, you and me who are privileged to have 3 meals a day or even more. There are people on this planet who even getting 1 meal is difficult. I faced this problem myself, the person you are seeing here. When I was in the bush with Joseph Kony, when I had gone to negotiate for peace in the Garamba forest, would get 1 meal. Then you depend on water, on a bottle of water. 1 meal. And if the meal comes when you don't like it, then you suffer it. But there is no way you can spend the whole day and you don't like the meal. Whichever meal comes to you, you eat as if you're in a refugee camp. Or you eat as if you're an orphan. So it is real. So when you, after eating, and you say, thank you, Lord, for providing this meal, you should have that realization as you are thanking God. You know that there are other people in the country or in the world who are not able to get even 1 meal, to get a meaningful meal. And if you are able to provide this meal, part of this meal, to help other people, it will be very good. Those who are living in excess, throwing away food, throwing away food, especially you young children. The young children who are viewing Uganda Catholic television, that food you are throwing away now, that's not a good practice. Why don't you serve little so that the other part can be given out to the neighbor? Get out and see how many neighbors are struggling to get at least 2 meals or even 1 meal. Get out and see. So when the Holy Father is telling us, we do small steps, that we shall be, looking at the plight of the poor around us. Small steps. Dear viewers, this is real. Small steps. Look at Laudato Si, number 227. 227. Look at it and read it. Actually, if you have a smartphone like mine here, if you have a smartphone like mine here, when I'm talking about this, you go to Laudato Si, type in Laudato Si. If I say number 227, you go Laudato Si 227. You will see what the Holy Father is saying. Because I cannot say everything that the Holy Father is saying, because we are limited by time in this studio. I wish I can be here from Monday to Friday, but you'll get bored all the same. You need some music and some spiritual nourishment. You need mass also. So this is why when I'm here, I would like you to proceed. For me, I'm causing a debate. For me, I am opening a debate so that when I leave the studio, the debate should go on wherever you are. In regard to Laudato Si, in regard to what the Holy Father is telling us to do to mitigate climate change and also to take care of our Mother Earth and to take care of the vulnerable, the poor around us, those who cannot afford a meal. Even if every read of this encyclical became environmentally engaged in their personal mindset and lifestyle, this would not be enough to stop problems like climate crisis and pollution. That is because the many decisions impacting the availability of renewable energy and sustainable practices are not made by individuals, but by governments and large corporations. So large corporations and governments we have to be very responsive to the issue of mitigating environmental degradation. So it is important for people of faith to get involved in politics and work strategically for positive change. Now the Holy Father is giving me appetite to join politics. But again, I can't join politics because I'm the former Prime Minister of Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom. I can't be a Prime Minister. You know, once you are a Katikiro in Bunyoro, you are always a Katikiro. So I can't be a Prime Minister and then I join politics. But those who are not like me, those who don't have impediment, the Holy Father is saying, it is important for people of faith to get involved in politics and work strategically for positive change. You, the Christian members of Parliament, you are doing the right thing. But ensure you work, they said, you work strategically to cause a positive change. And those who are who are viewing Uganda Catholic television, the Holy Father is saying, if you are there and you are a person who would like to get involved in politics, go ahead. But when you reach there, cause a positive change, especially in regard to the environmental protection, in regard to the protection of our Mother Earth. What does the Laudato Si predict in the future? You know, Laudato Si described a wide spectrum of possibilities for the coming century. It is bracing in its discussion of the threats facing humans and the environment. Many of the problems surveyed would have been much easier to address 30 or 40 years ago and are now already causing harm. However, the encyclical also offers hope. That's key. It's not that things have gone bad and no, the encyclical offers us hope. Both in specific policies it recommends and in its promise of integral ecology, a new, more fulfilling outlook on politics, economy, and everyday life. Integral ecology. That now we should no longer take the plight of the poor and the environment, the plight of the environment, the plight of our Mother Earth, and the plight of the poor. Now they need to be cross-cutting. I remember when we were making our strategic plans, we used to say issues to do with HIV/AIDS are cross-cutting. Issues to do with the environment are cross-cutting. Now we need to move away from theory to practice. We need to move from the head to the hands. For the teachers, you know it very well. Cognitive, psychomotor. Cognitive, affective, psychomotor. This is the time to move from cognition to practice. Do. So that step of the, as they call the scouts. See, judge, and act. The Kizaverians also use the same. See, judge, and act. This is the time to act. There is no time for debates anymore. There is no time to sit in conference rooms anymore. Let's go to the gardens now. Let's plant the trees, environmentally friendly trees. Everyone, wherever you are, irrespective of what you are, let's take away the dignities. Let's remove the plight of the poor about the plight of our Mother Earth. Tuve mu bitirwa. Let's go and be practical. And we do those small things that we are able to do in order to conserve our Mother Earth. The Holy Father is calling us to go to the Mother Earth, to go down. Let us move. I know some of you move in V8 vehicles, but you don't sleep in V8 vehicles and you don't eat in V8 vehicles. The moment you come out of the V8 vehicle, ask yourself every day, what have I done to protect my Mother Earth? This should occupy every citizen of Uganda. Remember, we are in responsible citizenship series. Every citizen of Uganda, irrespective of your dignity, every day ask yourself, what have I done today to protect my beautiful Uganda? Twagala Uganda tuwomere. We would like this Uganda to be very sweet for us in the future. And nobody would like to be in a dirty Uganda. Twagala tunyumirwe Uganda yaffe. We want to enjoy our country. But as the Bunyoro say, agonza akasera akarungi akegoyera. He who likes to take good porridge, you prepare it for yourself. Because you don't know how much sugar the other person will put in. So you prepare your good kasera, then you will enjoy it. Let's also prepare our good Uganda, and we shall all equally enjoy it. The responsibility is with you, our beloved viewer. The responsibility is with me. Personally, I am ending here in regard to Laudato Si. In the next week, my staff will be here. Our lawyer, Counsel Frederick, will be here with our project officer who is in charge of Karamoja. They'll be here. They conducted a research in regard to environmental degradation. So they have now hands-on. So the results of this research, they will tell you. If possible, they will also reflect it on the screens so that you know that we are not talking, we are not theorists here. No. So, dear viewers, climate change is real. The plight of the poor, the vulnerable, the marginalized. Let's all work together to protect our Mother Earth. This is our common home. Uganda is our common home. The world is our common home. Let's protect this country. Let's protect Uganda. Let's green it. And it's not the president to green it, neither the vice or prime minister of parliament. The responsibility for us to live in a better Uganda is between me and you, by asking ourselves every day, what have I done to protect my Mother Earth? What have I done to beautify my Republic of Uganda, which is my Mother Earth right now where I'm living? Thank you for viewing Uganda Catholic Television. Good news for all. Till we meet another time, keep loving our television, keep supporting our television. Because this is the television that always brings to you good news where you are. Till we meet again, keep viewing Uganda Catholic Television.